Thank you, Madam Chair, very much. And obviously, I'm delighted to see Texas represented in a very large way in this committee and at the panel, and welcoming Senator Cornyn, my senator. And thank you so very much, Senator, for being here and being thoughtful on this very important issue, not only to the nation, but certainly to Texas. Madam Chair, I want to also, because this is a very challenging issue, take an opportunity to personally thank you for the cooperative way in which we have been able to work on this committee, and still more work to be done, but on this committee as it relates to something that many of our members have a diverse and different view and are vigorous sometimes in that view. Again, I want to acknowledge fellow Texan and Mr. McCall, the chairperson of the full committee, for, again, recognizing that we can do things in a bipartisan manner and really come up with a product that doesn't just serve Texas, Arizona, and places such as those states, but serves the nation, working very closely with the ranking member, Mr. Thompson, who has evidenced an uncanny ability for coming together on very, if I might say, controversial issues, and have worked so closely in a bipartisan way. We are a committee that I think is a very good example of what is good about the United States Congress. Madam Chair, let me apologize for being delayed. I was in an immigration meeting, and I believe that today's hearing is a crucial piece of this Congress and this House shedding itself from the national perception that there is a stall, that we cannot further provide leadership on the concept of comprehensive immigration reform. So I thank you for holding this meeting, and I assume it will not get heated, but I thank you for holding this. And I just want to acknowledge what the meeting was about as I read my statement. It was about the combined advocacy for comprehensive immigration reform from the National Association of Evangelicals, from the American Nursery and Landscape, the business community, agricultural community, and certainly from the law enforcement community. These are crucial elements who are pushing collectively for comprehensive immigration reform. So I am very pleased to have been an original co-sponsor of one of those bills that will contribute to this process, H.R. 1417, the Border Security Results Act of 2013. They've been sponsored again by Chairwoman Miller, myself, the Chairman, Mr. McCall, and the Ranking Member of the full committee, Mr. Thompson. It may come as no surprise that my friend and I work on issues, even though, as we should, have disagreement. Texans do, but we come together around very important issues. I was glad to co-sponsor H.R. 1417, in part to help foster a bipartisan legislative initiative, but more importantly, I was delighted to be able to work across the aisles with staff and members on this bill that I believe has generated a forward-thinking, strong, positive effort at securing the border, both northern and southern, as I've spoken to Chairwoman Miller about the northern border, to come forward with a bill that will help us in comprehensive immigration reform. As reported to the House, the bill requires that the Secretary of Homeland Security submit to Congress and the Government Accountability Office a report that assesses and describes the state of situational awareness and operational control of our borders. It also requires that not later than 180 days after the date of the enactment, the Secretary of Homeland Security submit to Congress a comprehensive strategy for gaining and maintaining situational awareness and operational control of high-traffic areas of the border within 2 years, and operational control along the entire southern border of the United States within 5 years. Furthermore, the bill requires that the Secretary to submit to Congress an implementation plan for each of the DHS border security components to carry out such strategy, and for GAO to review those plans and report to Congress on their findings. The Secretary determines operational control has been achieved in accordance with the Act. The Secretary is to certify that to Congress. It's a roadmap that I think is very positive and takes in all of the stakeholders that have a responsibility for securing the border. Again, we were delighted to also offer several thoughtful amendments. In particular, I was glad that amendments offered by my colleagues from the border region were adopted, dealing with the impact on border communities and the economics, particularly trade. I appreciate the bipartisan support for my amendment to address the smuggling of people, drugs, and weapons, particularly emphasizing human trafficking, as well as civil liberties and prohibitions against racial profiling. For example, we must acknowledge that achieving such control will require new border security resources, and I hope Mr. Thompson's amendment will be considered going forward that begins to fund these challenges. H.R. 1417 addresses just a portion of the challenges facing our nation with respect to our broken immigration system. As I said earlier, I'm not going to be shy about the need for a comprehensive immigration reform, and I would hope this House would not spend its time on satellite bills, but come together with a comprehensive approach. I would hope that beyond anything else, that we have the opportunity to be able to put forward a comprehensive approach. And I would say to the chairwoman and I would say to the full chairman that I hope that this will be part of that bill. We have an obligation to bring these people out of the shadows, and I commend the Senate for its comprehensive approach, but also believe that we can improve on this bill. As I close, let me indicate that the Senate bill, which we view as a positive step, still has an unworkable hurdle, the $46.3 billion for border enforcement, with 20,000 Border Patrol agents with no study as to how they will be trained. And additional agents may be necessary, but we need to be able to listen to the stakeholders. And the question of militarizing the border may be of concern to many of us. But we are ready to go. We are ready to move to help Arizona and California, New Mexico, and Texas, and we're ready to go to make a great difference in what we're doing. In short, there are pros and cons to the approach taken by the House and Senate on border security, and we can learn from both. But I must say, Madam Chairwoman, as we go forward, the one issue that must be on the table is that this House was moved forward on comprehensive immigration reform, along with the Senate, for the President to sign. It is one of the greatest civil rights moments and needs of this century and of our time. And I look forward to this House being front and center, and the Homeland Security Committee, House Homeland Security Committee, being part of helping 11 million undocumented persons become citizens. With that, Madam Chair, I thank you and I yield back.
Thank the gentleman.